slowly sipped his wine. Yes, I know the story. They have been subsisting on ambrosia fruit, Cam added. God held up his wine glass, swirling the amber liquid. Ambrosia wine is my favorite. He flashed a wry smile. Although you know you don't need any food when you're dead. They know, Cam said evenly, but the sweet flavor brings them a small measure of happiness. God's eyes narrowed to slits. My original intent of hell was to provide punishment, not happiness. My heavenly Father, Cam pleaded. Every soul dwelling in that pyramid has either atoned for their sins or descended from purgatory. He nodded to me. Some have earned enough credits to get into heaven. Heat flamed my face when God looked me over with an assessing gaze. Yet they choose to live in hell, God said through a frozen smile. Cam leaned forward. They choose to sacrifice their own comfort and safety, my lord, so they could be with their friends. They're damned, friends, God added with a frown. About the fruit, my lord, Cam continued, his face a mask of serenity and composure. Something strange has been happening to it. Cam reached into a pocket in his robe and placed a fruit on the table. The skin, which had once resembled the bright green of the mango, was now covered with soft brown bruises. God's brow furrowed as he picked it up, eyeing it curiously. What did you do to it? I knew I had that deer-in-the-headlights look when God looked accusingly at me. Nothing, Your Holiness. Damn, I sounded so green. The juices ran down God's arm when he held up the fruit and crushed it. You mortals take the natural bounty I give you, modify and poison it. He waved his fist at me. And then you blame me for your diseases. I swallowed a lump of nervous energy. We haven't done anything to modify it. They harvest it the same way the Nephilim did, Cam agreed. God frowned at the fruit. It's been poisoned. I jerked back. Poisoned? How? God smashed the ambrosia against the table, splattering rotten chunks everywhere. We jumped back when a black spider as big as my palm raced out of the debris, skittering across the wicker. God's fist came crashing down on top of the creature, which surprisingly squealed as God smeared its carcass into the table. My breath stilled when God looked at us, thunderstorms brewing in his eyes. Do not bring any more of these abominations into my realm. Cam held out both hands in an apologetic gesture, his face almost as pale as his white robe. I'm sorry, my lord. I didn't know. If there was one, God said through clenched teeth, there are more. How many more? I asked, hardly knowing where I'd gotten the courage to speak. Thousands, maybe millions. God lifted his hand, grimacing at a long trail of spider entrails dangling from his palm. They will ravage all of hell, including your pyramid, he said, wiping his hand with a cloth napkin. Ravage my home? No. I leaned forward, clenching the edge of the table with whitened knuckles. How do we stop them? God looked at the splatter. One of the 8 legs was still moving. Scowling, God threw the napkin over it. His face hardened, his voice dropping to an ominous rumble. Destroy their mother. Ash McLeod. Creditors Union, please hold. I hit the blinky button on my clunky landline phone and connected another call. Creditors Union, please hold. Gah, didn't these people have anything better to do on a Saturday, and what was I doing at work today anyway? Oh yeah, my boss was an asshole. I pushed the last button with a stifled curse. Thank you for calling the Creditors Union. This is Ash. How may I direct your call? Ashley McLeod, this is Lovelace. A familiar nasal voice squeaked through the receiver, though I knew his squeak was meant to be a growl. Unfortunately for Lovelace, he'd been a late bloomer and had died before puberty set in, or maybe his balls never dropped. Whatever the case, his growly voice made him sound like a chihuahua on crack. What do you want? I asked, not bothering to mask the annoyance in my voice. I demand to know the status on the inquiry. Aw, how cute. Too bad I wasn't intimidated by my creditor anymore. Ever since he'd been caught with his hand in the cookie jar, he'd been on administrative leave, aka sent to the corner with a dunce cap on his skinny pencil head, while the big bosses at the Creditors Union investigated...